Good day. Here are the stories for the Manila Times for Saturday, January 9, 2021.
The Department of Health is monitoring 3 new coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 variants that could threaten the country. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere said on Friday the strains are the ones that are found in the United Kingdom, South Africa, and Malaysia. The UK and South African strains are said to be more transmissible, while it is still unknown if the Malaysian strain, first found in Sabah, is more contagious. Sulu, which is about a day and a half by boat from Sabah, is already under a hard lockdown as a deterrent agent against the Malaysian strain. After doing gene sequencing on 305 local samples collected in November and December, the Philippine Genome Center reported there are no indications that the UK and South African variants have breached the country's borders. Recently, Hong Kong health officials reported that a Filipino domestic helper who had arrived from the Philippines was positive for the UK variant. The Supreme Court begins on January 19 oral arguments on at least 37 consolidated petitions questioning the constitutionality of Republic Act 11479, the Anti-Terrorism Act. In an advisory, the court en banc on Friday also set the ground rules for the proceedings. Petitioners and respondents will each have 45 minutes to present their arguments. As agreed during the preliminary conference last November 26, only 8 lawyers from the petitioner's side will be allowed to participate in the oral arguments. The Solicitor General, which will represent the government, is allowed to bring not more than 3 lawyers. All persons in the court must present a negative COVID-19 RT-PCR test taken within 72 hours prior to the oral arguments. Discussions would be limited to preliminary and substantive issues, according to Clerk of Court Edgar Aricheta. Police have widened the search for suspects in the death and alleged rape of Christine Angelica de Serra to include a second group of men who were at the New Year's Eve party the flight attendant attended in a Makati City hotel. The Metro Manila Police Chief, Brigadier General Vicente Danao Jr., on Friday, said investigators were focusing on identifying the other people at the party in room 2207 of the City Garden Grand Hotel. De Serra was found dead in the room's bathtub last January 1. A police autopsy report indicated that she died from an aneurysm, but it also noted that there were bruises and contusions. Based on the report, the Philippine National Police Chief, General Debold Sinas, announced that De Serra was a victim of rape. Police named 11 suspects in the case it presented before the Makati Prosecutor's Office and detained 3 of them. The prosecutors wrote the case, saying the evidence was too weak to stand up in court, and ordered the detained suspects released. Investigators have since been trying to build a stronger case, casting a wider net for suspects. Instead of the usual multitudes of devotees, the crowds will be held to a minimum as the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic looms over the celebration of the Feast of the Black Nazarene in Manila today. Tight restrictions to prevent the spread of COVID-19 have forced church and city authorities to scale down the annual event, doing away with the centerpiece Traslacion, the procession transferring the image of the Nazarene from Rizal Park to Quiapo Church. Instead of the Traslacion, traditionally attended by millions of Nazarene followers and lasting far into the night, there will be multiple masses in several churches to disperse the throngs that usually converge in Plaza Miranda fronting Quiapo Church. Church Rector Monsignor Hernando Coronel said on Friday health and safety measures would be strictly implemented, such as the mandatory wearing of face masks and face shields and 1 meter social distancing. Coronel said children below 15 years old and senior citizens above 65 will also not be allowed inside the church. Meanwhile, classes and work in the city of Manila will be suspended to make way for the festivities. 9 out of 10 adult Filipinos remain fearful of catching COVID-19, according to the latest Social Weather Station survey. The poll from November 21 to 25 among 1,500 Filipino adults nationwide showed that 91% of adult Filipinos were worried that their immediate family members could catch the virus. Of the respondents, 77% were worried a great deal, and 14% were somewhat worried. The remaining 3% were worried a little, and 5% were not worried. The 91% recorded in November 2020 surpassed the previous high of 87% in May of the same year, when the issue was first surveyed. It is 6 points up from the 85%, which is 63% worried a great deal and 22% somewhat worried in September 2020. Responding to critics, House Committee on Constitutional Amendments Chairman Alfredo Garbin Jr. on Friday said the upcoming deliberations on charter change or CHACHA at the lower chamber is not a waste of time and money. He assured the deliberations would be treated with fairness and transparency. Reacting to criticisms that CHACHA would be used for political motivations, such as term extension of officials, he said that Speaker Lord Alan Velasco's directive was to confine the discussion on economic provisions. In business, the Bureau of Internal Revenue said it raked 1.9 trillion pesos in taxes last year, smaller than its collections in 2019, but better than its scaled-down target. In a statement on Friday, the Tax Bureau said it was able to collect a total of 1.9 trillion pesos from January to December of 2020, exceeding the adjusted tax goal of 1.69 trillion pesos by 213.83 billion pesos or 12.6%. It was, however, 12.44% lower than the 2.17 trillion pesos raked in 2019. Nevertheless, the Bureau said Commissioner Cesar Dulay expressed his heartfelt gratitude to all revenuers for being able to register significant excess in collections despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Over to sports, Christoph Padilla, the very first University Athletic Association of the Philippines girls basketball most valuable player, said she is staying with Adamson University. The 20-year-old Padilla told the Manila Times on Friday that she has already committed herself to the Adamson Lady Falcons and will join the team come the UAAP Season 84 Women's Basketball Tournament. Yen Macabenta and Ramon Tulfo are today's front-page columnists. Macabenta discusses the Philippines lagging in the recovery efforts against the COVID-19 pandemic in the Asia-Pacific region, while Tulfo believes the death of flight attendant Christine De Serra on New Year's Day was by natural causes and not rape. Today's editorial hits the Department of Trade and Industry's vehicle tariffs, calling it a thoughtless, economically harmful move. Read the full version on the paper's opinion section or listen to the voice of the Times. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and keep up with the Times. With the Fort Villeceran, this is Eric John C. reporting. May you have a safe weekend ahead.